Hey, tubers, welcome back to Ted Talks Guitars and Life. A little something different for you today. I had the great privilege, man, of hanging out with the cat behind Tease Guitars just for a conversation about life and about guitars. Hey, if you like this kind of content, man, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, come back and hang out with us at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. And now, the interview. Well, hey, brother, man, welcome to TED Talks Guitars and Life. You are the first guest I've ever had.
Nice, man. It's good to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, bro. So you're the first one, the first interviewee of the channel, as it were. So that good to hang out with you. I know we've been interacting a little bit, email and text and phone calls and stuff throughout the past couple of weeks. But man, I just wanted folks on the channel to get to hear from you a little bit, get to hear your story, your journey, what makes Tease Guitars tick and the like. So got a couple of questions here I'm just going to walk through with you, and then we can freestyle, man. I don't have an agenda a whole lot, but
Uh,
yeah.
never put down my guitars, man. Never
Well,
once.
speaking of cool things that you've done in life, man, so why start a guitar company? How did that come about, and what did that look like for you? What was that journey like?
Bro, well, first of all, it is an amazing journey. And it's just that it's a journey. But it all started when I spent 25 years in the car business and I could and I wasn't the guy that sold you the car. I was the guy that you talked to if you said no 6 or 7 times to the salesman, they'd send me in and I'd go in there and I'd get your money.
Mm,
That was my job. I didn't do paperwork. I didn't give you your payments on the car. I just went out and we talked about it. We talked about the deal and hey, this is what makes sense to you and this is what makes sense to me and let's try to put this together. You didn't come here to buy ice cream and I was really good at my job, um,
mm,
and I liked people and people liked me. And I retired from that. I had no idea what I was going to do, and I had a little money, so I started buying all these budget guitars, man.
mm.
I mean, I was buying like one every 2 weeks. You know,
Eh,
I, I had my own personal salesman at Guitar Center out in Boston, man. I'd walk into the guy. I think he took advantage of me though. I'm not a drummer. He sold me a drum set, and I had talked to him about that after I got sober, and man, what the hell's going on? Why did you sell me a drum set? He goes, we all got rent to pay, bro. And I turned around, I traded that drum set, and I got myself a little Fender, and it worked out okay, it worked out okay. But I was sitting around, I was buying guitar, and my ex-wife now, she came up, she says, what? I said, she goes, you're spending a lot of money on these guitars. I said, yeah. She goes, wouldn't it be cheaper if you just made them? That's what she said, right?
wow,
Now she was
wow.
talking about like buying pieces of plywood and putting some stuff together. That's what she was talking about.
Yeah, right.
And I ran across it. I was in one of these guitar groups and
Mm,
all these people were talking about all these budget guitars and stuff. And I was right on board with them, man. I mean, it's that gas gear acquisition syndrome. I was buying guitars and buying
yeah,
guitars.
yeah.
I wasn't bonded with them all, and you go to sell them, and half of them you got to put it. It's you're if you got three budget guitars, you could probably get one decent guitar out of it, and that's just the way it
Hmm.
was. I remember I bought it. The first one I got was it was an unbranded Glary. That's what it was. And man, I got to tell you, this thing, the strings look like a staircase in Macy's. I mean, they were just all over the place, I mean, I've skateboarded in swimming pools that were more level than the fretboard on this guitar. I mean, it's just it was just all bowed up and everything, and it was just a mess. But the thing is that I got it for $99.
Mm,
Got it for
mhm.
$99, man. And it took me, and that was in 2020, and so I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. Someone's got to be able to do this and actually put together a decent guitar. And
Mm,
so I just started buying samples from companies. I didn't go to AliExpress. I went through another channel of I found a way to find Indonesian, Vietnamese, and Chinese manufacturing plants, not
Mm.
not brokers, not people who say they have a company, but actual, companies that manufacture guitars. And I had to pay for that. I think it cost me $1,100 for that list of manufacturers. And I went through them, and there's about 80 of them. And I ended up ordering about 80 different sample guitars. And
Mm.
out of the 80 that I ordered, I got 3 that were worthy. And out of those 3, I got one that was really good. And that was the first company that Tease Guitars. I started Tease Guitars after that, after I found that. And I did a little math, and I was like, oh, you ain't gonna, you're not gonna be rich, but
Mm.
you could have a lot of fun doing this, and you got to sell some guitars.
Yeah.
And I was very fearful, Ted, you know,
Mm.
buy a
Mm.
tractor trailer full of guitars with no customers and no brand name, and everything else was kind of people thought I was losing it. And when I first started doing this, I thought I might have been losing it too. But see, all that went away. And I was looking at the website that I had designed, and I was looking at this thing, and I'm like, man, we got 19 people today coming on our website. In fact, it was probably 19 people the first week,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
just one of those deals. And my poor friends, man, I got a lot of friends, man. And I'll be honest with you, that the majority of my friends, my good friends, bought 2, right? That's
Mm.
or either that, or the ones I didn't like bought 2. I was a pretty good little salesman. So,
Yeah.
and it just started, and then I started looking at these guitars, and I was like, I can make these better.
Mm.
I can do better than this, and the first ST1s that came out is solid little guitar. Um, that first, we'll call it the first generation of ST1. This is the second generation of ST1s that we're on now, the SPR model. But that first generation of ST1 guitars, we sold about 800 of those in just a couple of years, which is, again,
Mm.
think about this, man. One guy, I started this company in a closet. I'm not kidding you, man. I had
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
it was a food pantry closet. That was my office. And I had
Okay.
about 22 guitars. It was a long one, but it was only 4. I couldn't even get this desk in there. It wasn't even 4 feet wide. It was 40 inches wide, and it's about 12 feet long. And I had all the guitars all over the wall and stuff. And yeah, man. So that's how I started it. And it's become something it's my baby today. I really care about it. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's we're doing all right.
Yeah. So the ST that you're talking about, those are Strat type models, right? And then
There,
you've got
yeah, yeah.
the Tele models.
Yep, yeah, yeah. We've got the tele models. We've got some good stuff coming up. I just today finalized, and people don't realize it takes about a year to go from a concept up here, and I got some crazy stuff up here. There's stuff I want to do that they can't do yet.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
man, and they're like, no, we can't do that, man. It's not going to work. I go, yeah, but in theory, they go, building guitars is not theory, it's factual. And sometimes I forget that there's people out there that know a lot more than I do.
Mm.
And I know a lot, but I can guarantee I don't know everything, and that's okay. I don't think a day goes by that I don't learn something new about working on guitars, building guitars, or playing guitars. One of those
Mm.
things. I always learn something new. I'm never running out of stuff. I think sometimes that's what keeps me sucking air, right? Wanting that knowledge, some more. But yeah, so it was
Yeah.
uh it was hard to do. It was hard to start. Once it started, that ST1, that Strat guitar, like I said, it sold about 802 years, and then and it still is a good guitar. Probably, yeah, I
Mm.
do. I still got I got the first one that I ever got, one of the 6 quality control samples hanging on the wall up there, and I still pick it up and I still play it. I still bod with it. I still love it. It's got a great tone to it. The second generation, we made it a little bit better. That's all we did. We loosened up the pickups to make them sound not so made in China-ish. They've
Mm.
got a
Yep.
little bit. Yeah, I'm going to send one of these new ones out to you here in the next week or so. I was going to send it out today, but we had some stuff come up in the family today, and we just
Yeah.
kind of sidetracked. But yeah, I'd love for you to try one of those out, play it. Tell us, tell your viewers what you think about it. I think it's a really solid guitar. If you're going to buy a beginner's guitar, it's not a beginner's guitar, but if you're a beginner, you can't miss on this one. It's one of those, you take it out of the box, you play it, it actually stays in tune. the bridge works. It's got a bone nut, stainless steel frets on it. It's got nice tuners on it. They're not locking. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know about you, man, but we're both about the same age, I'm assuming.
Yep.
You've lost your hair and I've lost my mind, so that puts us,
Yeah.
you know. And but I didn't ever use locking tuners, man. You know, I just
Yeah.
never did. All the guitars that we had growing up, they were good tuners, you know, they were 18 to 1, 20 to 1 tuners, and then people started getting tuners, they were, 12 to 1, 14 to 1, and I don't know, man, we do come from the same era, and we used to get metal matchbox cars, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's right.
Tonka trucks, man. We probably got a car. I know I got one down in my basement, man, from when I was a tyke, and that
Wow.
it still rolls, it still
Yeah.
rolls. It's still good, and that's kind of the attitude I have with the guitars that we make. I don't want to put 12 to 1 tuners in a guitar, man. They'll break. And
Yeah.
they won't hold too. They won't work. A lot of people, a lot of manufacturing companies, their goal is the sale.
Yeah.
That's their goal. It's numbers. It's red and black, and it's a ledger, and this is what we made, and this is what we lost. This is they could care less about what people actually think about their guitars once the sale is done, and you find that out by trying to follow up and tell them that you got a problem with that guitar. Their job, and everybody that they train in these, we're not going to say huge companies, just companies that are bigger than Tease Guitars, is to get you off the phone and appease you, right?
Mm.
If that's a $25 to $40 discount, then that's probably what you're gonna get you
Yeah.
off the. We're a little different. We care. I want you to have and I mean it. I'm not anything I say. I don't just say. I really mean what I say. I say what I mean, and I try not to say it mean. Right. Learn that in life too, and that works a little better as well. But we want you to have a good, solid guitar. I don't want to have to tell you, well, that's just the way it is, and here's $20. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to move the bridge and put it in the right spot so you could intonate your guitar, but they're made in China, so and you paid how much? And you want what? What'd you expect?
Mm.
If you try, and for your audience, I challenge you to try to find a bad review on a Tease guitar. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. I'm not saying people haven't gotten bad guitars, that one or two slip by, but I'm telling you, if they put a review up there, they'll tell you, I got a bad guitar, but they made it right. Right.
Mm.
And to me, that's a solid company, and that's not a transactional company. That's a relational company. When you buy a Tease guitar, I always welcome you into the family, and I mean that,
Mm.
and I think that's why some of these guys, man, they bought 5, 6, 7 Tease guitars, and they call me up, they're like, "What you got coming next?" I'm like, "God damn, son, what you doing, man?" He goes, "I got a black one, I got a white one, I need a blue one. You don't make a red one yet, and I'm like, "I'll make you red one, Ricky." So
Yeah, but my buddy told me the other day, I'm jacking around trying to paint this Telecaster about T-style guitar orange. And my buddy said, "Why don't you have your guy over at Tease make you an orange one, man?" Oh man, that's a good break for me. Get away from that guitar for a minute. That pain is crazy. Well,
it,
hey,
it is crazy.
yeah, so tell me about so I know that you've mentioned generations of Strats, and I know there's generations of Tellies because my viewers may not be aware, but you certainly are, that I actually purchased one of the first generations of the Telly model. And so I can do a comparison for myself between the improvements that have been made, the tweaking that has been made. What's the is there like a feedback loop, or what is that like? What I mean is, so when I posted my review, I had people comment asking questions, about the company, and I tried to point everybody your way. But what's the customer like feedback opportunity to, not that you can just make any guitar that we all want, but how do these generational improvements evolving, how does that happen?
Okay, so the SBH guitar, the one that you bought, it's a really nice guitar.
Yeah,
And for the
it
price,
is.
that guitar actually came with with an in-house pro setup, high polished frets. I mean, and that was something I wasn't even doing setups then. I had one of the guys that works for our company, works with our company, I should say, was doing all the setups, you know,
Yeah.
and he's been doing he's if I had to count how many setups, he couldn't tell you how many he's done, but it's well over 10,000. That's just how good this guy is, you know. And he's a phenomenal musician and everything like that. So for $250 shipped with a gig bag, not only was it a good deal, but it was a really beautiful sounding guitar. And so some of the things that I noticed, and it wasn't from customers telling me on it, it was because I'm always looking for better components. What Tease Guitars doesn't do is buy stock guitars and have our stickers put on there. That we don't do. Right? There's a lot of companies out here. You'll see the same exact guitar from one company that has 4 different names. It's exactly the same guitar. It's same manufacturer, same guitar. And I'm not saying it's the same person that has these 4 different companies, but it's hard to say that it's not just because they're exactly the same guitar, right? Identical. And the way I know that is because I buy my competition's guitars. Every one of them. Anyone, if I can, that's the only way I can stay ahead of the game, man, is to buy what they buy. I guarantee you that they're buying mine too. When I first started, they wasn't buying mine, but they're buying mine today. So if I can make a guitar better, I'm going to make it better. And if it like so a lot of people don't realize this, but going to stainless steel frets, I hate stainless steel frets personally, because I set up guitars and stainless steel frets eat my tools up, and tools are very expensive. And to do a fret job on a stainless guitar is a couple hours. When I say a fret job, I'm just talking about leveling, crowning, and polishing the frets. You're looking at on a stainless guitar, that's a couple hours, man. On a nickel fret guitar, you can knock that out in 45 minutes to an hour. If you do as many as I do. And I got to tell you, you guys, you've seen my video on guitar setups. People say, "Oh, if you're not taking 2 hours to set up a guitar, you're not doing it right." You got one of our guitars set up right out of the box. I think you played it and you said, "Wow, this is a good setup, man." So it doesn't take that long if you, but that's because I do the same guitar over and over and over, and I just got really quick at it, man. That's all. But always looking to make the guitars better. So I noticed that when I held that guitar, it didn't feel like it felt good, but I knew it could feel better, right? And so how do I make the guitar feel better? And why didn't it feel good? It did feel good, but it didn't feel like, this is the one. And you know the difference because you've got both of those guitars, and just the thickness of the neck on the new HD model as opposed to the SBH it's just a different feel on it. Well, so I put a new neck on there, and it's still, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And so I fattened up the neck plate on the back of it, and that made it more sturdier. And then it felt like I could drop this guitar and be okay. The SBH, I felt like you had to kind of be a little dainty with it, right? And I wanted it to be like a droppable guitar. I mean, it's going to mess your paint. Paint's not Superman paint. It's not kryptonite. It's just regular paint. So it'll crack and break and chip and everything like any other guitar. But if you drop that guitar, it'd still be okay, And so that was kind of the goal with the SBH, is to make it better. I noticed that the pickups were wound a little tight. That bridge pickup, we were putting out about 13.8 on it. I unwound the pickup. So we do all that stuff here in house, and then we send it overseas, and they duplicate what we do. We don't have a list of, let's choose this pickup, or this pickup. We make a pickup, we send it over. This new unit we've got coming out right now, that's the reason it's taken over a year, is because we made the bridge. Those tuners on these SBHs and these SPRs, you won't get those from any other company because they're not allowed to make them, because they're my pickup, my tuning, they're my tuning keys. Made in New Jersey, right? So things like that. We're just constantly trying to make a better guitar. First generation, second generation. People always say, and here's the thing, that costs us too. Just so you know, when we go from generation to generation, I have to take down the old reviews off of my website because I don't no longer have that product. So all those great reviews that we had are now gone. right?
Mhm.
So, and I'm starting over. So for the new customer coming on, he's going on to my website. He doesn't know that we've had probably, let's say we had 300 reviews. Well, I'm not going to say 300. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've probably discontinued, and when I say discontinued, it doesn't mean discontinued. It means we made better about 4 times. And if you
Mm.
take 6 different colors times 4 times, it's it's 24 products. So you got 10 reviews on each one. It's 250 all solid reviews, but they're not up there anymore. So new customer goes on the website and goes, oh, there's only 1 review. I don't know anything about this company. And that's why I tell you to try to find a bad one, right? Try to find a
Yeah.
bad. They're just not
Yeah.
out there. It does
Mm.
cost us money to do that, but and when I say money, it's trust is a big deal in anything that you're buying online. And so
Mhm.
that's another reason that we send out these guitars to YouTube reviewers. And we hope that that customers that are looking at all the YouTube, not just yours, but anybody's YouTube reviews,
Mhm.
are looking at the comments. Because
Yeah.
I watch some YouTube reviews on, again, my job is to see what my competitors are doing, and I see the comments on some of these things. And you're always going to have the couple of people who get on there and tell you how great their guitars are and everything like that. And I understand that, but scorn somebody. They'll let you know
Yeah.
about it. That's the forum to do it, So that works out. That kind of works out really good for us because no matter what happens, whether it's our fault or UPS's fault, and I hate to say this, but the customer's fault,
Mm.
okay? And customers make mistakes. I'm going to say that we sell to a lot of old people. The
Mm.
people who buy our guitars, I know what the algorithms are because I see who watches the videos, and I know that the people who go to our website, I get a report that tells me what the age of the people that are hitting our website the most, and they're between 50 and 80, right?
Wow.
That's the age group that's going to Tease Guitars, and
Wow.
yeah, 80% of those are from the United States. 10% are from Canada, and the others are from the UK, Australia, and India, and things like that. Um, so I know all these things because I look at all that information to see what am I doing. I joke about it all the time that if I were to put out a guitar and just call it Boomer Blue, we probably sell out in like a day, because that's and we're proud to be boomers, man. I'm gonna tell you, man, we are.
Yeah.
We know what customer service is all about. We know what quality products are all about, and we know how we treat each other too. So
Mm.
it's a whole different world. But yeah, man.
Yeah. Cool.
But we make
Well,
it better. That's it.
yeah, there you go. So humble beginnings. Now you're a guitar company. What's next? What are the goals down the road for Tease?
Yeah, the goal's always been the same as it's been, and that's to put out an actual Tease guitar at some point. At one point when I first started this, I had a 5-year plan and the 10-year plan, and the Tease guitar was on the 10-year plan. It
Mm.
really was. It was like it's going to take me 10 years to build up a client base to where I can introduce a Tease guitar that's not a Stratatelli. Um,
Yep.
it's not going to be an LP style guitar. See, I can't make LP guitars because I'm an American company. In other
Mm.
words, our office, our corporation is licensed in America. It's not licensed in China, right? If you go to
Mm.
some of these companies, if you look at the companies that are making these LP guitars, the ones that are not getting sued, they're not American companies, right?
Hmm.
They're China companies or Vietnam,
Wow.
Asian
Yeah.
companies. It's hard to sue somebody in another country.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't put out. I love LPs, man. My first guitar was an LP. I would love to make one, and I can tell you right now, if I made one, it'd be a really good LP. It'd be a monster. But I just we're a small company, man. It's not win or lose in a lawsuit. It's just being in one is that's it's painful
Yeah.
monetarily just to defend yourself against having the right and the freedom of just making a guitar. I'm not out to copy anybody's guitar. People say all the time that don't call that a Telecaster. I don't want you to call it a Telecaster either. I don't want you to call a Tease guitar a Telecaster because I don't build them to sound like a Telecaster.
Mm.
Build guitars to sound like Tease guitars. my guitars have a unique tone and they all have a unique function. It's not just quality components. We put those components in. There's a lot of thought that goes into that SBH-HD you got, man. That's three guitars in one. That's what that is. That's not just that's a country guitar. That's definitely a full-bodied sound, high gain, heavy metal guitar.
Yeah, it is.
It's a classic rock guitar. And you put that thing up at that middle or that neck pickup, man, and you can play some beautiful jazz and blues and so you're getting three guitars in one. That's a Tease guitar. That's a Tease guitar. It's not a Telly. I don't want to call it a Telly. I don't want to call it. I don't even really like calling it a Tease style.
Yeah.
It's a Tease guitars, man. I'm not trying to copy anybody's stuff, man. Why do I make them in that body? Because it's the body that everybody is looking after. I can't come up with a guitar, my own body, buy 10,000 of these things, have them made, all the best components in the world. I probably wouldn't sell but 100 of them in about 10 years. Because we don't have a client base. People buy guitars from companies that they trust. And so what's Tease Guitars doing? Well, we're offering these guitars at a ridiculously low price. And they're underpriced. So we can get our name out there. And to know that if in 5 years, if there's going to be some bad reviews, you just can't not have them. I don't know how we've done it so far, but you just can't not have them. We don't have them though. And I haven't found them. And if someone's that disgruntled, I can tell you that they didn't call me because I'd have made it right. And they didn't call that phone number. It's not just my phone that rings to 3 different phones. Somebody's going to pick up that phone. And I'm telling you right now, they didn't call me because we'd have made it right, no matter what. If that's, so that's the goal is to, at first it was 10 years. If we keep growing the way we're growing, and we're growing very steadily, we're putting out a lot of guitars. I'm excited about the new stuff coming out, which I really don't want to get into, but there's some new stuff coming out, guys. New stuff. I will say this, 2025 is going to be the introduction of the Tease bass guitar. I can tell you that right now, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm an old bass player, man. That's what I did for, I'm one of those guys that when I was in Nightmare, that wasn't a choice to play bass. I was a guitar player flipped. Right.
It happens that way sometimes.
That's the kind of way that works out. That's how it was in our day, and and that was pretty cool. So the goal is to get not just these Tease guitars out, but to get the Tease guitars out. We're starting I've got a body designed on it. It's already been CAD. The CAD design is already complete on it. I'm gonna tell you something, man. This thing's gonna look kind of like a Lamborghini of guitars. It's a nice ass, excuse my language. It's a nice looking guitar, man. And it's a really nice guitar. I can't wait to put it together. We'll put that thing together. I'm gonna have one. I'm not gonna sneak it out. I might sneak it out. Tell myself I'm not going to do stuff, and I just I get so excited about these new products we come out with that I just can't help myself sometimes. I want you guys to know that I'm not sitting back here just spending money that I'm making, because I ain't making a whole lot. I'll be honest with you, I ain't making a whole lot at all. I'm working, when you guys are sleeping, we're setting up guitars. I'm in meetings with China. They're 12 hours ahead of us. Night before last, I was up till almost 5 o'clock in the morning, and we started a meeting at 11 o'clock at night, which is 11 o'clock in the morning to there. And we had a 5-hour Zoom meeting. That was
wow.
Trying to figure out some stuff on getting these guitars, this new bridge, taken care of. And so it's a lot of work that we put in, but it's so rewarding to. Buddy, I got to tell you, man, if you saw the emails I get, you wouldn't want to do anything for the rest of your life until the day you suck the last breath out of the last day, the last second. The things that people write to me are thank you guys. Thank you. I could be having the worst day in the world, man. I've got a list. I've got hundreds of emails I can go to, and but a handful of them, they choke me up, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, and when I'm sitting there and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and my old lady will walk up, she'll go, man, you look tired. And I say, yeah, man, we got a new review. Read this one. She's like,
Mm,
I'm so proud of you, honey, man. You know, you're doing what you do. And
yeah.
that's what that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. I got you know, UPS damaged some products. I'm gonna tell you, Tease Guitars donates lots of guitars. We
Mm,
do. And we UPS every once in a while damages a product, and I'll get moved into spirit, right?
uh-huh.
And I'll just be like, man, let me get you another guitar out today. But you know, do you know somebody? If the shipping's like just crazy or something like that, I don't want a broken guitar that I got to bring back here and then put it on our
Hmm.
website as a you know scratch and dent and stuff. If it makes sense, if it's you know if it's a $14 shipping product or something like that, and it costs me $15 to get it back, I'll pass that on. But if it doesn't make sense, but every once in a while, I don't even look at what the shipping costs. You know, as I'm just moving, I say, can you take that guitar down to either an after school music program or I don't know, maybe you know somebody at your church or wherever it is that you want to do that, you know? They're like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, man, there was a kid, he's been playing guitar for his church for years. He's a really good little guitar player, man, but he kind of grew out of his 3/4 guitar. And
Mm.
this guitar you got, it was an ST2, a Mocha Burst ST2, just like that one up there on the wall. And it had a little 2-inch ding in the back of it, just a little like a dent, you know,
Hmm.
it's got a dent in it. And the guy who gave that kid a guitar, man, he sent me a picture of that kid at church with that holding that guitar, his little Tease gig bag, man. And probably about 14, 15 years old. Let me tell you, bro, made my day, you know,
Yeah.
made my day,
Yeah.
man. Made my day.
Yeah.
So it's I do this for a lot of reasons. I do it for
Mm.
a lot of reasons. You know, it's not, it's, I can tell you the main reason I do it is that I want a passive income. That's not what this is.
Mm.
I can tell you right now. I wish it were, but it's not because I always thought that I would just order a bunch of guitars and they would go to our warehouse in Utah. People would order them. The Utah warehouse would pick up the order, ship it out, and I'd get a good review and a nice big check every month. And it's anything but that because I'm so passionate that I'll be honest with you, man. I have these guitars shipped here and it costs me more money to have them shipped here.
Mm.
Like the SBH-HDs, they come to New York. To give you an
Mm.
idea, it's about $9 a unit more to ship it to New York than it would be to ship it to the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
More boats
Mm.
go to the West Coast than the East Coast, so the shipping's cheaper, and that's just the way that works out.
Mm.
And, but I want to make sure that when you get your guitar, it's perfect. So I got to lay my eyes on every guitar, even if I'm not setting it up. I want to
Mm.
be able to walk. I want to be able to walk. We've got like Monday mornings, usually there's 3 or 4 guys here and they're all doing setups and I'm doing setups right alongside of them, you know, but if I'm not, I like to be able to walk up, pick up a guitar and open the box that they just put it in and just look at the guy that's doing the setup and say, hey man, you know what? Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you,
Mm.
man. It's a good job, bro. That's a really good job, you know. Um, I need to be able to do that. I don't know why, you know,
Yeah.
I guess, so I can sleep at night. I'm dreading the bad review. I'm still living in fear, man. I know I shouldn't be, but that's
Yeah. Hey.
part of it, you know.
Yeah, that's part of the guitars and life part, isn't it? That life will get you, man.
It does.
Well,
Yeah.
it has been just a pleasure, man, to hang out with you for a bit on the channel. Two last questions. One
Sure.
is why Tease by
Okay.
way of brand name?
Mhm.
And then second, what do you want your viewers to know that we haven't covered on this call?
Okay. But Tease Guitars is real simple. I was out in Nashville, Tennessee, and I opened up a motorcycle shop, right?
Oh, okay.
And that was called NDN Loco, NDN Loco. And then from that, and I was selling Indian motorcycle parts. I was selling them on eBay, and
Hmm.
that really didn't work. And then I went to expand that business, and they said, "Well, you have to have a storefront." And so out right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, out in Smithville, Tennessee, I got Tease Cycles, right? We
Hmm.
rented a 3,500 square foot little barn. It started that one in a garage. And then people started coming in and they're like, hey, we saw the motorcycle sign. What do you got here? You know, and I was selling parts wholesale. Well, turned out we ended up having 3 or 4 bays. Um, we had you know, metric mechanics. We had the ATV mechanics, and then we had the Harley mechanics. We were building Pro Street choppers. We were fixing all these drunk farmers' trucks that they try to pull houses out of rivers with and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And and I went to name it Tease. I wanted to name it Tease Cycle T apostrophe S, and it was just taken. you know.
Okay.
And so when I started this company, I was like, I really want to do Tease Guitars. And I looked again and again. There's Tease Guitars all over the place. I mean, there's like you can't even Google it. I would be lost in Google if I was called just T apostrophe S. So we went
Yep.
with we went with Tease, and and it's a fun name. People ask
Yeah.
me, Tease, how do you spell it? TS? I go, no, man, it's like a strip tease, you know. And they laugh. And I thought that I could, I'm a marketer, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
strip tease, and I'm thinking tease, and maybe we could have pretty girls, with little tease
Oh
teeth.
my.
I'm walking. It was just that's the thinking, is it?
Yeah.
And we haven't had to do that. We haven't had to do that. So we do our marketing just the way we do it. I'll tell you that the one thing I'd want you guys to know about Tease Guitars is that is this. It's phenomenal that we've grown as much as we've grown
Hmm.
without spending $1 on an advertisement.
Wow.
Not one.
Wow.
Not $1. Over 1,500 guitars, right about, well, maybe 14, 15, no, about 15, because we're almost sold out again. 1,500 guitars, and not $1 has been spent on a Google ad, a paid Facebook ad. Everything that we have done has been word of mouth.
Hmm.
So when they say that, word of mouth is the best advertising, that's fine. Those companies are spending money on advertising to get the people to buy them, to get them word of mouth. We don't
Hmm.
have that luxury. If I had to spend money at 50 cents a click on a Google ad or 25 cents a click on a Facebook ad, you wouldn't be getting your guitar for $144 or $249 because it would cost me more than that. Our company is growing because you're growing it.
Hmm.
So I've got no choice but to put out better than budget guitars for a budget price so you can talk about them, or else we fail.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And that's a great note to end on right there, I think.
It is. Well, all right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, man. It's been a
Absolutely.
pleasure. And yeah, send me that ST model and we'll do the review. And hopefully it won't be your first bad one, but if it is, we'll work on it.
It is what it is, man. You'd be
It
the
is
first,
what
I can assure you. Yeah.
it
All right, Bubba. We will talk to
All
you soon, man, and I'll get back with you. I can't wait to see this up on your channel. We'll watch it, and I'll word of mouth is a big deal. And I will say this before I sign out here. Um, if you haven't like and subscribe, and share these things on your Facebook page and your Instagram, and get some folks on this channel, man. Yeah, Ted's a good guy. He works real hard. He ain't making no money doing this. He's doing it just to get the word out about, and they say time is money. I don't think Ted does this for money, just like I don't do it for money. We just do it because we both got something in common. We don't need to share about that, but we need to do something to occupy what goes on up in here because the circus has left town, right? The monkey's off the back, but the circus is still in town, and we just got to keep busy, and I think we both work really hard at keeping busy, so we don't we
Yep.
don't end up getting busy, and
Yep.
so.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind. Well, guys, wherever you are in your guitar journey, man, I hope pray it's a long, smooth, safe, smooth ride for you, man. Rock on with your bad selves, and we'll catch you down the road. See ya.